Adequate notice of this meeting has been provided to the Co-Star, the official newspaper of the Borough of Belmar, and the Asbury Park Press, and notice of this meeting was posted on the bulletin board and the borough's website. Take roll call. Councilman Donovan?
Here.
Councilwoman McKinney? Here. Mayor Buckafusco?
Here.
Councilman de Blasio?
Here.
Councilman Maroney?
Here. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of silence for our troops, their families, and first responders. Okay, thank you. Begin tonight with some proclamations. We have three, the first one being Public Service Week. Public Service Week, yes.
Proclamation for Public Service Recognition Week, May 3rd through the 9th, 2026. Whereas Americans are served every single day by public servants at the federal, state, county, and municipal levels, these unsung heroes do the work that keeps our nation working. And whereas public employees take not only jobs, but oaths, and whereas many public servants, including military personnel, police officers, firefighters, border patrol officers, embassy employees, healthcare professionals, and others, risk their lives each day in service to the people of the United States and around the world. And whereas public service include teachers, doctors, scientists, train conductors and astronauts, nurses and safety inspectors, laborers, computer technicians and social workers, and countless other occupations. Day in and day out, they provide the diverse services demanded by the American people of their government with efficiency and integrity. And whereas these public services at every level continuity would be impossible in a democracy that regularly changes its leaders and elected officials. Now therefore, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar do hereby announce and proclaim to all citizens that May 3rd through the 9th, 2026 is Public Service Recognition Week. All citizens are encouraged to recognize the accomplishments and contributions of government employees at all levels, federal, state, county, and municipal. April 28th, 2026.
Thank you. Let's go to Building Safety Month.
Thank you. Building Safety Month is May 2026. Whereas the Borough of Belmar, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey is committed to recognizing our growth and strength depends on the safety and economic value of the homes, buildings, and infrastructure that serve our citizens both in everyday life and in times of natural disaster. And whereas our confidence in the structural integrity of these buildings that make up our community is achieved through the devotion of vigilant guardians, building safety and fire prevention officials, architects, engineers, builders, tradespeople, design professionals, laborers, and others in the construction industry who work year-round to ensure the safe construction of buildings. And whereas these guardians are dedicated members of the International Code Council, a U.S.-based organization that brings together local, state, and federal officials that are experts in the built environment to create and implement the highest quality codes to protect us in the buildings where we live, learn, work, worship, play. And whereas these modern building codes include safeguards to protect the public from hazards such as hurricanes, snowstorms, tornadoes, wildland fires, floods, and earthquakes. And whereas Building Safety Month is sponsored by the International Code Council to remind the public about the critical role of our communities, largely unknown protectors of the public safety, our local code officials who assure us safe, sustainable, and affordable buildings that are essential to our prosperity. And whereas Get in the Game and Celebrate Building Safety is the theme to Building Safety Month 2026, encourages us all to raise awareness about planning for safe and sustainable construction, career opportunities in building safety, understanding disaster mitigation, energy conservation, and creating a safe and abundant water supply to all our benefit. And whereas each year in observance of Building Safety Month, people all over the world are asked to consider the commitment to improve building safety, resilience, and economic investment at home and in the community, and to acknowledge the essential essential service provided to all of us by local and state building departments, fire prevention bureaus, and federal agencies in protecting lives and property. Now therefore, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar, County of Monmouth, State of New Jersey, do hereby proclaim the month of May 2026 as Building Safety Month, dated April 28, 2026.
Thank you. And I'm going to do the next one, which is the 57th Annual Professional Municipal Clerks Week, which is actually May 3rd through 9th. Whereas the Office of Professional Municipal Clerk, a time-honored and vital part of local government, exists throughout the world. And whereas the office of the Professional Municipal Clerk is the oldest among public servants, and whereas the Office of Professional Municipal Clerk provides the professional link between the citizens, the local governing bodies, and agencies of government at other levels, and whereas professional municipal clerks have pledged to be ever mindful of their neutrality and impartiality, rendering equal service to all, and whereas the professional municipal clerk serves as the information center on functions of local government and community, whereas professional municipal clerks continually strive to improve the administration of the affairs of the office of the professional municipal clerk through participation in education programs, seminars, workshops, and the annual meetings of their state, provincial, county, and international professional organizations. Whereas it is most appropriate that we recognize the accomplishments of the office of the professional municipal clerk. Now therefore, the Mayor and Council of the Borough of Belmar recognize the week of May 3rd through 9th, 2026 as Professional Municipal Clerks Week, and further extend appreciation to our professional municipal clerk, April Claudio, and to all professional municipal clerks of New Jersey for the vital services they perform and their exemplary dedication to the communities they represent. I'm going to continue on this vein, and I'm going to ask April to join me down in the front along with the rest of the council. We have a very special person in our midst here tonight, and I want to let all the residents know. I was able to attend a ceremony along with the Kane on Friday of the Municipal Clerks Association of New Jersey. And unfortunately, this is not the plaque that we came up with. We just took it off of April's wall to show everybody. But what it says is April has been appointed or designated the Municipal Clerk of the Year. So that's a pretty in recognition of her dedication and professionalism to the office of municipal clerk. And I know she worked very, very hard to get this. She takes all kinds of classes, and we really do have a star in our midst, and I don't know what we would do without her. So congratulations. All of our communities all proud together. There we go. Congrats. And she actually has to say a few words at the event, which she was not prepared for.
One more time.
But I won't. If you want, you can, but you don't have to. Okay. And I'll present this to you again. And I have the bag over there.
Congratulations, April. Thank you.
Congratulations.
It was in here.
That's true.
We can do it.
Take you off of my list.
Okay, we're going to move on to the workshop discussion. The first thing we have is the filming ordinance, New Jersey Film Ready. We were given a proposed ordinance. We already have an ordinance, and April went to a lot of extent to compare our two ordinances, and we just have to discuss it and see what it is we want to do in terms of that. Who would like to?
I'll start.
So I know our ordinances go back to when we were worried about reality television shows filming here, which I don't think is as strong of a worry nowadays. I'm not really worried about real world filming here. Not that I would want that. My understanding of the ordinance itself is that it includes not just, it's mostly guidelines, but it also includes suggested fees and rates that would be then uniform against around all the towns who adopted this ordinance. To me, that has pluses and minuses. I don't love that we're being handed guidance with uniform fees across everywhere, because I always think Belmar is worth more. But I know if we set our rates too high, we don't get this film ready designation. That being said, there's also things we have to know. Like, I know you have to put in like 10 locations in town to register as film ready. So we would have to agree on what those 10 locations are. And for me as well, anything that would become official, if we were as a town approving filming, I think we would have to be very intentional and particular about where and when. We wouldn't want someone filming on 18th and Ocean in July. And I just wouldn't want to disrupt our quality of life. So that to me is really important when we consider all of these things. I also don't want Belmar to be left behind. When I talk to businesses in town, what they often talk about is how now winter months are worse and summer months are not as good. And if we can have something that's bringing in business, particularly outside of the summer, I think that is a net good for Belmar. That also being said, there's some things that people in town can do. One is if you want to register your private property for filming, you can go to njrealscout.com, and those would be subject to anything like any other event as far as noise ordinance to permitting. And the other thing is that businesses can register as film ready, which I think is a neat little direct approach to the Main Street business problem and all of businesses problem, because businesses can register on the NJ Film Ready site who want to provide crew services, vendor services, film support services. So that is already available even if we don't pass the Film Ready ordinance.
Okay. When I was looking at it, the very first thing, looking at the analysis that April, the chart that the very first item is the reviewing authority. And our current reviewing authority is what we do for all special events. It goes through the borough administrator. We have a special events committee who is advised of what's happening. And any expedited permits obviously require approval from the police chief, public works, superintendent, 2 council members. The sample ordinance only provides that the reviewing authority is the town manager, which in our case would be the business administrator. And there's no multi-member committee required for any permit type. Now, what it kind of leaves it blank to, if we say that, can we still have our special events committee and all that kind of stuff. It doesn't say that you can't, but I mean that was one thing that just stuck out to me, because I think we would need to want to continue that in the future for any of the TV or filming that's going on here. Some of the other things that I just will point out quickly, our permit is $250. The sample ordinance makes it $100. Expedited, we have $1,000 permit fee. They make it $250. Daily filming fee, we have it in our ordinance now for $500 per day. Theirs is $150 per day if the budget of I guess whatever the filming organization is under $20 million, or $500 a day over 20. So I mean, I'm not going to go through them all, but there are differences in some of the fees. I'm trying to see what else might be. Permitted filming hours looks a little different right now. Ours says 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. in residential areas, May 1st to November 1st, further limited to non-holiday weekends only. The sample ordinance says Monday through Sunday, 7 a.m. to 9 p.m. Camera wrap, 10 p.m. for the crew wrap. Night restrictions apply only to exterior residential filming. So it seems a little broader to me in terms of when they can film. Our ordinance says in terms of maximum days that can be filled, we say 3 consecutive days per location, 6 days per year per location, which is waivable for major motion pictures. The sample says there's no day limit provision. We have no filming within 200 feet of a licensed establishment, a liquor licensed establishment, while open, unless there's an exemption granted by the business administrator. They don't have any equivalent provision for that. We can go with insurance, looks pretty much the same. You know, it's different, you know.
Ours is stricter.
You know, yeah, we have strict insurance requirements. We require a $500 bond. The ordinance doesn't. We don't have an appeal mechanism, but apparently the sample ordinance does in terms of appealing to the town council within 10 days. And obviously, I think that's connected to the fact that the very first thing was that the town manager makes the decision.
Yeah.
So obviously, if this appeal, if we have everybody on board at the beginning, there should be no appeal needed. Penalties, we have $1,000 a day. The sample ordinance says $2,000 a day. In terms of notifying the New Jersey Film Commission, we don't require that, but the sample ordinance says copies of the permit must be sent to the New Jersey Motion Picture Television Commission. Definition, the definition of filming in our ordinance doesn't reference streaming platforms. In the sample, it says it explicitly covers major linear broadcast networks and streaming platforms. And the section on TV series, private property exemption, we say that TV segments, shoots conducted entirely inside a non-residential commercial building, not visible from outside or exempt from the permit requirement. And the sample ordinance does not have that similar carve out. So there's there are a lot of pros and cons as to what we would want to do. I mean, the thing I think to consider, and I don't know that I have a good handle on, is what is the benefit to us to be film ready? I mean, I guess the answer is when the New Jersey motion picture and film industries, you know, get approached by a director or somebody and they say, you know, where's a place that we can film? If we don't have the ordinance, they're not going to take Belmar. I guess that's really the ultimate reason for adopting the ordinance. So
I think ready is the key word here, you know. Filming has started. It's been in Asbury, it's been in Red Bank. I think we should open the doors for people being in Belmar. I just think we have to do it carefully so that we're maintaining our quality of life. I personally would prefer to the reviewing authority we still have rather than the sample ordinances. But I worry, the thing that always worries me about any large event is that to make sure that we are, as a town, not losing money on it. I don't want to have large expenses for DPW and for the police department that we're not recouping in the name of a 30-second spot in a TV show. So I think it has to be balanced that way.
I think a lot of the numbers, almost every fee that they proposed or had in the sample was less than what we currently have. So to second what you said, we're worth it. But what do we actually have to do to become that film-ready status? And how do we do it to only benefit our businesses and not put that strain on the police and the DPWs it's a challenge, we have to look at it. I think we need a better explanation of what specifically we have to either completely modify or reduce with our ordinance as it stands, because then the ordinance right now is made for us to be protected. So we move it, we open the doors, I think that'll be a great thing. It could help the businesses, it could also not help the businesses. It's a matter of getting it to that right point. So I think that, you know, all of the things that the mayor brought up, I had in an email I could track to April about some of the, you know, fees that I would say we should really stick with our fee versus their fee, like the $150 a day fee budget under a $5 million, you know, under a $5 million budget. And then there was also a limit that you couldn't film between, I think it was May 1st and November 1st, and that's where I thought you kind of might lose a little bit. Maybe we should reduce that down towards like the middle of September, because that's probably when, you know, a film would want to use our you know, beautiful sea space. Those are some, you know, timing restrictions that maybe we could reduce, but the fees, I didn't really see much of a point. The bonds, the insurance, those are things that we need, and I agree that the approving party should stick with the way we have it, as long as we can still get that film ready. I think the way we do it now is the best way for the town.
Do we have any idea of what the neighboring towns have for ordinances and what they are currently? And one thing I didn't hear, and I apologize if I missed it, was if the police department is going to be involved, is there going to be overtime involved, and how are we handling those expenses to secure the scene while that goes on?
I was wondering that too, what is the additional, you know, people that we need on the scene in order to create a film-ready scenario, a safe film-ready scenario, and where it doesn't list anything in that list about what we are responsible for, paying-wise. And I do think we also should be inviting people to film in Belmar. I think that's a good thing, I definitely do, you know, I think we should. So besides this ordinance also, my second question is, what else do we have to do to become film-ready?
Right, and as I said, part of this is an application process, and like I said, there's those 10 designated spots, so I think our staff would have to be involved in putting that whole package together. But I think the key component for us when we're thinking about why we would do this, it would be to bolster our businesses more than anything else. And so we would have to do very active outreach to our businesses, maybe through the chamber, to make sure that they're filling out, like, and they're in the vendor database, that they're doing all of those things so that we are getting what we want out of making ourselves film ready. To answer your question about other towns, I know other towns have. I think they use the sample ordinance, but we can look into that, I think.
Yeah, I just don't want to undersell us, because I do think that we're worth it, and if everybody else is a little bit above the sample and people want to film here, I think that we can, you know, if that's the standard around here, I don't want to undersell us at this point.
Yeah.
And make sure that we do have road closures, DPW overtime, things like that would have to be covered. And I believe are, based on the process and the permit process, and any road closure you have to file with the police department, not the township direct.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think there's a lot of gray areas here, and I'm concerned that the, you know, if you get a motion picture person in here and they're shooting for 2 weeks, and you know, it's like, and we have to provide police and DPW, how are we going to pay for that? You know, they're giving us, what? Street closure fee of $1,000 a day. That's if they close the street. But it just seems most major motion picture daily fee is $500 a day. You know, and it seems it's nice and clean from their end. You know, oh, we're going to do $500 a day, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. But it doesn't relate to the reality of what the actual cost is going to be to the borough. Now, I mean, that's something we might have to, you know, think about if we want to go with the you know, the proposed sample ordinance. But you know, it is something that, you know, I think you're not going to know until you actually have something done, and you'll see what, you know, it could be a 30-minute thing on the beach, and you know, it's not a big deal. But you know, I understand that this is to give the you know, the people that are filming some guidelines as to what it's gonna cost them to come into a certain town, but I would like to have a little more flexibility in terms of, you know, covering our expenses. I don't know, maybe that's possible. I don't know, you know, once you have, people involved and you start kind of negotiating, maybe, you know, maybe that would be possible. But again, the bottom line is, do we think it's a benefit to the borough, having, you know, more commercial filming within the town? And if we want that, then we should go with the sample ordinance. Seems like that's what they're proposing to us.
Right, and I mean, I think the thing to remember again is that this was originally written with a very different target in mind, of, you know, discouraging rowdiness and the Jersey Shore. And like I said, I don't think that is something we need to worry about necessarily anymore, so it's a question of thinking about what we do want to attract and being proactive about it.
I'd be willing to consider the sample ordinance as long as we are covering costs, especially with the police department, and what we're actually expending to make sure that they have a safe environment to work in.
Do we need
think,
to come with some kind of a consensus, or?
You know, there's
Some
a
information.
document on their website, it's a little bit, it's about 11 pages, that kind of goes into a little more detail about the ordinance, what the whole application process is, and so maybe we should go through that a little bit more.
Is there someone we can reach out to say, we see the points of your sample ordinance, but we want to keep some of our own?
That's exactly what I was gonna say. We'll reach out to the film commission and find out exactly, you know, does that have to be used, or can we use ours, or some kind of negotiation between the two? What they really wanna know is, do you want people to look at this as a potential site or not? You know, there's some towns that say, no, we're not interested. What's happening is basically the movie industry is migrating from California to New Jersey. And there's gonna be a lot of content locations that are gonna be scouted for, and they just wanna know where they can go, where they can point people to. So I'll reach out to the film commission tomorrow and we'll get back to you.
The other thing that would be, I'm really curious about is what, you know, what do they see in the future in terms of the ability to modify this sample ordinance? You know, like, we might start with it and might, you know, towns may conclude, you know, 500 miles a day is not enough. You know, and what would be the process to go to the commission or whoever wrote this up and say, oh, you know, these certain provisions are not working because, you know, it's costing us too much or whatever, and how flexible they would be to say, yeah, all right, you know, it's a work in progress, we can kind of modify a few things. I'd be just curious to see if they anticipate something like that happening down the road. I mean, obviously it's the very first step, so.
My concern is that it seems like our ordinance really anticipates what our costs are actually gonna be. The sample ordinance that they're providing obviously is geared towards them having as low a cost of production as possible. So I do think that there's gotta be some place in the middle where we can do that. And just to reiterate my point, I just don't think we should be doing anything in town that the town is paying for this over and above the expenses of, you know, we need to make sure that the expenses of the town are being covered. If we're gonna be paying overtime to police officers to secure the scene, all that money needs to be secured.
And couldn't we reach out to Asbury or Red Bank and find out what their ordinance says?
Yeah.
To see if there's
I think
provisions for,
that's-
yeah, what their expenditures are for additional staff and resources for filming. I think that's where we should start.
I agree.
All right, well, I think Kevin's gonna reach out for them, and then April has that other document, which could circulate to us, and we'll have to bring it up at the next meeting again and see if we learned anything new at that point. Okay?
But it's a great opportunity, yeah, then we can't pass up on this opportunity.
Yeah.
For business.
Yeah.
I mean, I see the need because the film industry doesn't want to have to go to, you know, 20 different towns with 20 different ordinances, and every time they want to do something, you know, like they need a lawyer to go like and check everything out. It's easier for them if they know they have a standard. But it's easier for them, but it's not necessarily easier for us. So we'll find out more. Okay, what do I do with my other? Okay, we're going to talk about the ADP tournament.
Yeah, while we're on special events, and actually just to put 3 on the radar, because we're a couple weeks away from the Seafood Festival. It's going to be Friday, May 15th, 4 to 8 p.m., Saturday, May 16th, 11 to 8 p.m., and Sunday, May 17th, 11 to 4 p.m. Same exact setup as last year, same vendors, you know, different band arrangements, but all the exact same setup. 2 weeks after that is the AVP volleyball tournament. So if you remember last time AVP was in, it was a monster event. That's not it. They have what they call heritage events, and what they're starting this year is what they're calling, they're starting a league with 8 stops. Belmar being the first of the 8, and Chicago being the final Labor Day weekend. And there's going to be two of those locations that are going to be filmed on TV Saturday and Sunday, Belmar being the first and Chicago being the last. WB Network is filming on Saturday and CBS Sports is filming on Sunday. It's going to be probably a 4-hour play time, you know, like a 12 to 4 kind of thing of actual events going on, and much smaller than you remember in the past. What happened? It got too big for them, so they actually went bankrupt and reorganized, and have new sponsorships, and they're starting back up. This is always one of their best stops, which is why they reached out.
What was the date?
Saturday, May 30th, Sunday, May 31st.
Right, the weekend after Memorial Day.
Yeah.
Okay, so, Mr. Kane, is there gonna be like stands and like big bleachers and the whole setup that they had on the beach like they had a couple years ago? Is that all happening again, or is it gonna be just multiple like beach courts?
Smaller than in the past. Basically, it's going to go from the First Avenue entrance on the beach to the 4th Avenue. The whole First Avenue area is going to be the whole staging, you know, all their equipment and everything. Between 2nd and 3rd is going to be what they're calling their stadium court, but it's not going to be the size of the one that was there in the past. I mean, it's going to be set up for one court, and then between 3rd and 4th is just the standalone courts, who everybody plays up, and they work towards the final in what they're calling the stadium area. But we had a meeting on Friday, one of those days, with ADP and the Special Events Committee to go through all the logistics, you know, with DPW and PD and EMS and everybody involved.
Are we recognizing any revenue from this?
So what we're going to do, it's really designed to bring people to town, like all of our special events, but we're going to have local sponsorship, to your point about covering our costs, so it doesn't cost any money on our end. They're not going to pay to come in, like in none of our special events pay us to come into town. Well, what it does is going to bring thousands of people into town, and TV coverage and everything else.
And what's the expected sponsorship contribution?
Probably, we won't need more than $10,000, probably, because they provide everything. In our meeting the other day, our DPW basically is going to be there to help. You know, they maybe put a fence up, that's going to be it. But they provide all that. They provide, you know, the garbage service. You know, they're going to utilize one of the dumpsters that's right there that we're going to provide. Same thing with police, maybe a couple officers just to keep an eye on the street. But they provide their own security. It's all going to be fenced in, and anybody that wants to utilize the beach will have to buy a beach badge.
Okay, that was my question. So they're still gonna have to buy badges to get on the beach?
Yeah, they're gonna sell tickets to their event strictly to be inside that fence. Oh, it cuts out. Strictly to be inside that fence, and they know that if anybody wants to go to the beach, they're gonna have to buy a badge and go down through another entrance to one of the gate checkers.
So just to be clear, the contributions from the sponsors, we expect to cover all of our costs?
Correct. Yes. Yeah, it's not gonna cost us anything.
Are they gonna have their own concessions, bathrooms? How
What
are
they're
they
gonna- what they're
bringing
gonna
in these
do-
people? You want them to be buying our food, or we don't want them using our
Yeah,
bathrooms,
but
but using our concessions?
Yeah, so what they've done, they've reached out and asked us for a list of all of our restaurants, and all that. They're gonna purchase prepackaged food. There's not gonna be any cooking on the beach, so like say surf taco or Death Avenue burrito or something. You know, they'll order from them and package the food, bring it to the site and sell it there. So, and they're gonna try to utilize all the local, like they had a scout team in, Billy, I think you met with them a couple weeks ago. And, you know, they were out here, you know, talking to vendors and trying to figure out what businesses they can utilize while they're here. Same thing would be hotels and all that.
I like the local support they're providing.
And what other
Other sponsors are they thinking? Because I know I saw something about a Miller Lite sponsor, is the beer tent thing,
Yeah.
Bob Kabosh.
Yeah, no alcohol on the beach,
Okay.
absolutely. This event they will not be serving alcohol at this event. We were pretty adamant that no alcohol on the beach. It's just taken a long time to make sure that alcohol is not on the beach, and we're not gonna allow for one, because once you start with one,
Yeah.
there's 1,000 more behind it. So, the chief was pretty adamant about that. So they've accepted that. You know, this is a priority stop for them. So, but most of their probably, heritage events are probably, companies, alcohol companies. But, so so we're gonna have the Seafood Fest, then you have Memorial Day weekend, then you can have the AVP volleyball tournament. And just wanna put on the radar, the Independence Day celebration is gonna be Friday, July 3rd. Light show, fireworks, same as last year, but the Raising Four that does the light show in celebration of 250th want to do an advanced, so we're probably going to go like a 4 o'clock start. They want to utilize Silver Lake Park to do maybe a couple food trucks and a beer tent in conjunction with McCann's Restaurant, the tavern in Lake Como, and that's going to lead up until the light show. So you figure probably 4 to 8:30, I think, whatever, it starts to get dark. They'll run the light show and the fireworks will go right after the light show. So that's Friday, July 3rd.
Mr.
King, can we request a little Bruce in the mix there instead of straight country this year? Last year's music, bless guys, was all country music, which has a time and place, but I think we're on the Jersey Shore and we should throw some local into the mix.
You submit some songs and we'll
Oh, I'm taking a look on that.
submit some songs and we'll make sure it gets into the playlist.
Great.
So that's it. I just want to get those on your radar.
Thank you.
Okay. One other thing we have is we have a sign ordinance on for tonight, and the planning board has made some recommendations, and I think we need to discuss whether we want to move forward with that or not. Did we, April, you probably have a better handle on this than any of us being at all the meetings. In a nutshell, the difference, what did the planning board want?
One of the differences was the political signs. Right now, it says, I believe it's one per a property unless it's a corner lot, then you can have two. And the board discussed that it should be one per race, a political race. That way you could have local, county, state, federal, more than one. So there was that change, and then there was discussion about the flutter flags. The proposed ordinance limited them to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday only, and they wanted to delete that part of it.
So that would make it available every day.
Every day, but with, only for special events,
Only for special.
like grand openings, sales, sidewalk sales, things like that. And,
The other one was the fluorescent.
right, there was a section of, under prohibited signs that prohibited fluorescent colors, and they just wanted to take out the word fluorescent. So, I reviewed the changes with Mr. McGill, and he agreed that if the council wants to make all of these changes, we would have to reintroduce the ordinance.
Sounds
Reasonable?
reasonable to me. I guess.
Yes, I did discuss that with
Yeah.
April, and that was my opinion.
So we all think we should make the changes and reintroduce it?
Yes.
Is that the consensus of everyone? Okay, that was easy. We'll do that. Anything else for workshop at this point?
Actually, I wanted to ask because we had a pretty rowdy discussion last meeting about the water utility, if anyone had any additional thoughts on that.
My biggest concern is, I'm not big on social media, so if it went out on social media, I apologize if I missed it, but did information go out to the public that this was going to be, that this was required in order to maintain the, what do we call it again?
Viability.
Yeah, the viability or the
Self-liquidating status
self-liquidating
of the water
part of it.
supply.
So did that information go out?
No, because I was in the process of doing that, and I said, you know, I didn't want to put out something if I didn't know that it was going to pass. You know what I mean? So you know, we need to pass that ordinance or not tonight. And once that passes, then we'll know what actually, you know, we can inform the residents of.
I gotta be honest, I actually disagree with that whole process. I don't feel comfortable passing an ordinance, no matter how important it is, if the public has not been made aware that this is gonna happen to them. We're talking about a 13% increase, it was a 12% increase last year, that's a 25% increase over 2 years. I'm not comfortable passing this, regardless of the deadline, if the public has not been made aware. I don't want anybody getting a bill that they don't understand where it goes up significantly. And I thought it was clear on our last meeting that we were going to send it out just so that they were aware.
Well, I understand your concern, but I'm just going to back up for a second. Every ordinance has a process that we have to follow, and that process is designed to give the public awareness. Right? That's why we have a first reading. That's why it's put in the newspaper. That's why we have a second reading. Okay? It seemed to me it wouldn't be practical if we put something out to the public and say, well, you're going to get a 13% increase in your water rate. Okay? And then we come here and we say, oh, no, we're changing that. We're going to make it a 5% increase. Okay? I think that's a disservice to the public.
Mr. Mayor, I just want to point out that last week, you said that this was just a matter of process. We could pass it this last meeting, and then we could get it out to the people so that they knew, so that when it came down to actually passing the ordinance, you said that. That was what you suggested we do, and everybody here agreed with you. There were people in disagreement with you, and now here I'm hearing that we did not do that. We did not do what you said we were going to do, and now we have a transparency problem where people are going to get a bill that raises their rate because there's some May 2nd deadline. So I've got an issue with the fact that you convinced us all to vote for the first reading based on sending out this information. We didn't send it out, and now you're asking us to pass it and then tell them it's going to happen. I'm not okay with that.
No, what I'm asking you to do is what we do for every ordinance, okay? We're not going to make exceptions for ordinances now where we're going to do a third notice. We're not going to do a first reading and then a notice to the public and then another notice for the second reading, it just doesn't work that way. And I understand what you're
Then my
saying.
question
I
is,
understand
then
what
my
you're
question
saying.
is, why did you say that that's what we were gonna do in the last meeting? If you didn't intend to send that information out, you should have never told us that we were going to just pass it based on process, follow through, and then we would have transparency before we had to make this vote. That's exactly what you said, not what we asked for.
Right, and I changed my mind because I realized that the ordinance might not pass. Now,
So then when are you gonna tell us that you changed your mind? Because you never told anybody on the council. No, I won't. You never told anybody on the council that you changed your
I'm
mind.
sorry, you're out of order.
I am out of order.
Yes.
But you,
How many times are you going to say that?
how many times are you gonna be not transparent?
You know what? If you don't vote the ordinance, the solution is to vote against it. That's as simple as that. Okay? If
I'm
you don't
against
say
I'm against the lack of transparency. That's what I'm against.
That transparency is a lot of crap. Because, you know.
Wait, are you stating that transparency is a lot of crap? Is that what you're saying?
What you're saying is, we are transparent. Okay? It's just that you want to make extra notices to the public when it's not needed.
I'm not asking for anything that you didn't say you were gonna do. You said you were gonna do it.
How many times are you going to say that?
Gentlemen, hi. I have to say, I understand Councilman Maroney's point. I think transparency is important and that when we say we're going to do something, we should do it. However, we've also seen the long-term effects of people sitting up here and making short-term decisions, whether for political reasons, campaign reasons, or other reasons, instead of making the difficult decisions that were for the long-term benefit of Belmar. We've seen it with our roads, we see it with our taxes, and we've seen it with affordable housing. And then we wind up in these situations. And now we're looking at it with the water utility bill again. And so it's very easy to take the exit ramp with transparency, because you're right. The mayor did say that last time, and it should have been done. But I think the harder decision and the more important decision is whether we're making the difficult decision with the water utility, making sure our residents are getting all the information they need to get the assistance they may need, and moving forward in the right direction.
And I just want to make a point. I told you why I didn't send it out. Okay? If you want to badger me for the next hour about that, fine. Okay? But I changed my mind. All right? You can say it 100 times. I told you, I told you, I told you. Okay? But I changed my mind, and I have that prerogative.
You have a responsibility to these
You're
people
not
out there.
talking.
You have a responsibility to these people out here that when you say something, it happens.
Do not interrupt me.
Someone's gonna have
We
a
have to
heart attack.
maintain some decorum here. The mayor runs the meeting. People can't shout over him. He directs who speaks. That's how it goes in our ordinances. So I understand that you're passionate about it, but we do have to maintain some control.
We need to take a 5-minute break.
Kevin, are you okay?
What's that?
Just checking. That's so pleasant.
no, we kept the recording on, we're good.
First, I'd like to apologize to everyone in the public. That was not me, it was not necessary, but every once in a while, something goes off, and it's something that I regret. Okay, so we're going to move on with the meeting. I don't know where we're at on the.
I'd just like to ask, if it's okay. We still have a couple issues with the ordinance, and I just thought that it would be wise if we could reiterate why we need the increase. So not to the extent that Lorraine went to 2 weeks ago, but maybe just to clarify why we need the percentage increase and with our auditor. So if I could just hand it over to you guys, so you can just clarify again for us why this ordinance is not on the docket.
Well, as we discussed at last meeting, the water sewer utility is facing a situation where we're not bringing in enough revenue to offset our expenses. Compounding that fact is this year we're under state review. The state review mandates requires us to provide a balanced budget and to provide certifications of all the revenues that we're bringing in, and advising council that we are raising an adequate revenue in order to offset our expenses, which is what we're required to do. Absent this ordinance passing tonight, we will not be able to adopt our budget because we will not be in a position where we can certify that the revenue is coming in, that we've already basically told them we have made accommodation within our budget accounting for the increase in fees. We are facing significant requirements, capital requirements, significant operational requirements and basically our expenses in the water sewer utility are somewhat fixed, and there is no wiggle room at this point in time. So our situation has somewhat changed, and as the final straw that's going to break the camel's back is that any shortfall in the utility has to be raised in the current fund budget. So we're basically facing competing issues. We need to raise revenue in order not to affect our current fund budget. It's not a pleasant situation to be in. We have attempted to address it by the rate increase last year, but unfortunately that was not sufficient. So hence the need for the rate increase this year. And I totally understand that council is not happy about this. I would not be recommending this if there was any other alternative.
Thank you for that, Maureen.
Thank you, and I think that point was made across last week as we kind of just got it last minute, and now we've had some more time to review. We would have gone back and forth with some ideas, and there's no doubt that we believe in you and that this increase currently is mandatory ultimately in order to keep us alive, right? Keep the water utility alive and above water. However, what I made the point of last meeting was we have a lot more users coming to this town, whether we like it or not. And there are certainly ways we can adjust ordinances and fees for larger scale users. So with that said, I was really not keen on the mandatory increase year after year. And that's something I would really like to see removed in order to vote on it comfortably, yes, saying this is mandatory, this is not a political vote, this is not I ran on this, so I'm gonna vote no, because I said I was gonna vote no. I see it, I get it, this is something, I'm one of the new guys here, but we understand that we're in this predicament, and everything's going up. Everything we buy goes up. Everybody we pay, the prices are going up, insurance is going up. Every chemicals, you name it. So I understand the need for it now, but I think to make a better long-term plan would be to realize the usage we're about to get and see if we can possibly limit the full-time resident or the single-family homeowners rates versus an automatic increase every year.
I think, and this is a suggestion. If you wanted to offer an amendment to the ordinance to remove that particular section, where the automatic increase would go into effect on January 1, 2027, and then every year thereafter, that's certainly something that you can offer, which might make you more comfortable. And I understand that we have future revenues that we can expect, but because they're not coming online until probably sometime mid-2027 at the earliest, we have to do something now. So.
Exactly, which is why, you know, I can understand the current immediate need for the increase, but hopefully we can reassess this next April, when we see, you know, if there's other items we can address, or maybe we have, some added units and some more income coming in otherwise. Who knows, maybe prices could come down by then, who knows?
So my question
So,
would be,
just to follow, I would like to offer that as a suggestion, a formal suggestion, to amend the ordinance and with eliminating the 2.5% increase, so we're not hitting residents right now with 12%, and then again in January with another 2.5%. Let's push that off a year or to the next, you know, review.
Do we need a second on that amendment?
Wait,
Because if we
wait,
do,
wait, wait.
Legal go.
We're in workshop now, aren't we?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, so
To do
we're gonna
this.
have this on the agenda. If you want to make an amendment, you'll motion for an amendment. If the amendment's adopted, then we'll vote on the ordinance as amended. I took a look at the ordinance, and I knew of this issue before we came here tonight, so I'm comfortable with I'm comfortable with proceeding without having to reintroduce, because the two things are really independent of each other. One does not affect the other. The calculations for our need this year have not been influenced by the prospect of having, or the prospect of having an increase in the future year after year. So the two things are independent. So if we get rid of one, it's not going to substantially affect the other. So we can proceed.
As long as we're not pushing this to affect the budget adoption, so.
That will,
We'll close up we'll close up.
because this is the first I'm hearing about this. Has there been any financial projection made based on that type of change?
No, that 2.5% did not factor into the calculation of self-liquidating status for 2026. Because it was not planned to come on board until 2027, so it did not include it in my calculations.
In addition, like you said, the state is looking for the number that you have, the increase, not the 2% going forward. So it's not going to affect the budget for this year. We're in certification based upon that part of the ordinance, okay, because they're two separate things, will still stand. So you can make that amendment in my eyes and still get through state review with the budget as it stands.
so my question would be, we did 12% last year, we expected that to fix the problem, it didn't, now we're at 13% this year. Are we confident that that 13% this year will put us in a position where the 2.5% will be adequate next year, or we are just, is there an expectation that we are going to continue to do these double-digit increases going forward?
Based on past history and our current status, I would say this should be sufficient to carry us at least a couple of years. And understanding that there will be some additional users coming on board, there will be additional revenue to the utility based on the greater level of sale, if you will, of water. I believe this will put us on the path that we need to be on in order to revive the water sewer utility.
So based on that, if we pass this tonight, do we actually think that a 2.5% increase, which can be voted on, I'm actually in favor of Councilman de Blasio's amendment that we don't include the 2.5% automatically, do we think that a 2.5% increase based on expense increase and everything else will be an adequate increase next year?
I I believe it should be enough.
I have a question. With the water utility, one of the reasons we are in this predicament is because of the poor shape of our water mains, correct?
That's a good part of it. We are faced with significant capital costs going forward because we have to comply with the requirements of the WQAA, which calls for us to have a capital plan that where we are replacing the water mains and laterals and getting rid of lead line pipes in the borough. So we have significant expenses coming on in future years that hopefully will be offset by, number one, some connection fees that now it's in effect and we should be collecting it on new developments, not necessarily the developments that were in the pipeline before. And we are looking at the alternative funding sources such as the iBank, which offers not just a lower interest rate, but also in certain cases for certain projects, principal forgiveness, which again is not an immediate, we won't have an immediate effect, but going forward, we are stabilizing the water sewer utility.
So
Which is the goal.
my question.
Thank you. I guess my question to you guys, because I like the idea of the amendment, but if we're thinking about our massive infrastructure problem, do you guys think that it is more responsible to keep it in place for that or to go forward? And that's a real question.
I think we have to assess it again, like we did this year. We have to assess the utility next year at the beginning of the year to see if that was enough or if we really did need another increase. It's not forbidding us from increasing again. It's just not making it automatic.
Of course, but we already know that we are looking at massive expenses to address that infrastructure. So do we think it's more responsible to have that revenue coming in that we can put towards that or to be assessing as we go? Because if we're being honest, we know that we will have that need, that we have to do all those projects. It's a real question.
Yeah, no, I hear you. No, I think it should be assessed again as these new developments are coming in and as we figure out how much we're really making from them. And I said it's gonna be probably, like you said, beginning to middle of next year. It's gonna be 2027. But they're also doing a lot of infrastructure improvements in their projects too. So, you know,
Is
maybe
2027 kind of optimistic as far as having water bills going in? No?
No, I think it's real. At least one's underway, so I don't know.
Well,
what the
yeah,
other
I was
construction
thinking about
runs.
the ones that
So
aren't.
I don't know about the others.
Yeah.
I guess the point that we need to recognize is if we think it's gonna be a 2.5% increase, as Lorena said, what's the difference if we take it out now and vote on it again next year at 2.5% or 3% or 10%, whatever it is? I don't think we're changing the dynamic at all by doing that. I just think that people want to see that we're protecting their finances and everything else.
I agree. I think that this should be something that we should consider every year. I don't know if it should be an automatic. I kind of like the idea of assessing maybe we need a 3% or maybe a 3.5 next year instead of 2.5. And then when more buildings and projects and people come to town and our water bills might change, you know, I think it's an idea that we should keep in the public's mind that it probably will be a 2.5% increase, but might be more, might be less, but maybe we should assess year after year.
And I think our goal, and some of the things, some of the ideas that creative ways of getting money without raising it on our residents is looking at the multifamily 3 units and up, looking at summer rentals, looking at obviously big developers. So looking at those as where we can possibly increase without affecting our residents.
Any more discussion?
So how does it work, George? Do we do the amendment at the time of the ordinance? Yeah.
Yeah, right.
All right, thank you.
Anything else for workshop? If not, we'll move on to petitions.
Mayor, I did not receive any petitions.
Reports of council. Councilman Donovan.
And I apologize that we didn't do this earlier, but I would like to have a small moment of silence for Betty McCann, who was a longtime Belmar resident, who's family owned and operated in the camps, so.
All right.
We have a lot going on. In very good news, the Belmar Environmental Commission's new website is up and running, and you can find it at belmarenvironmentalcommission.org. Please take a look. You'll find a lot of information on there, some beautiful photos, and including the event this weekend on May 2nd, which is our First Avenue Beach Cleanup from 10 to 2. Please come out. There's a lot going on that weekend, but what is a better way to start your weekend than putting on your worst clothes, a pair of plastic gloves, grabbing a garbage can, and wading through all of that. So
It sounds so attractive.
you'll leave with a sense of accomplishment. Pick you up, okay.
It's a back pain.
What time is it?
10 to 2. And if you know any high school students too who are looking for service hours,
I do.
please let them know.
Do they have to go through the school for that, or can they come and just get a certificate or something at the event? Do you know?
That's a good question. We can ask our expert Charlie. He is well versed in that.
10 to 2 on Saturday.
Yes.
All right, because St. Rose always does. Yeah.
Harbor Commission, we are planning an outdoor meeting this May. We're going to be walking the marina as we meet, and looking at all the different spots, the new work, things that need work, and familiarizing our newest member with the whole marina down there. So, you always come out for an exciting Harbor Commission meeting. Speaking of exciting, we had a beautiful event this past weekend in Taylor Pavilion Ground in Belmar. Massive congratulations to Ileana, to the entire Environmental Commission, all of our different participants. It was a beautiful event. Last meeting we had some residents come from River Road. I wanted to follow up on that. I met with a liaison from the governor's office to talk about the issues that they raised about speeding right there, the desire for a sign, about who has jurisdiction. So we are moving forward trying to address their concerns. And the Environmental Commission is also looking to start to look over in that area for what we can do to make it more beautiful for everyone. Our Verizon update, we held a meeting with the FCC. Council President Kinney and I were on the call, and included Spring Lake Heights, Seagirt, Avon, Bradley, and we talked about all of our different concerns, including the need for more local control when we feel like we have so little to begin with. They are assessing whether or not to eliminate things like the shot clock, and aesthetic concerns when we're putting up new poles that we are pushing back against. At the same time, I actually spoke with Chris Smith's office today. He has put up another piece of legislation similar to what he had in previous sessions of Congress that would take away that shot clock requirement that we don't like, along with other pros municipality statutes. So all of that is really great. Arbor Day, I'll let Councilwoman Kitty talk about that. And finally, this Thursday, if you're a poetry lover, come out to the Taylor Pavilion at 6 p.m. We will have professional poets along with one very precocious fourth grader who will be reading her favorite patriotic poem. So I will be dying slowly in the background. So thank you, that's all.
Okay, Council President Kenny.
Thank you, Mayor. Just a reminder, graduation banners are going to be going up if you have a high school senior in Belmar and would like to have your senior's banner on Main Street. Please reach out to Jenna Van Nest in Tourism. There is a form that you will need to just fill out with your graduate's photo. And please, let's have all the graduates up on Main Street as soon as we can possibly do that. St. Rose Grammar School would like to know that they are adding an outdoor classroom to their grounds, and there will be a ribbon cutting ceremony for that on May 27th at 9 a.m. So they're going to be doing a little outdoor area where students can learn and just have a different environment for learning. Belmar Elementary School is having their Mother's Day jewelry sale May 5th in school. It's one of kids' favorites. And the PTO fashion show is Friday, May 8th at Belmar Pavilion. The Shade Tree Commission, we did have our Arbor Day celebration this past Friday at Belmar Elementary. We planted a bunch of trees with the fourth graders. Councilwoman Donovan was at the St. Rose fourth grade planting at the library. They loved it, took pictures of their own little shovels. It was great. It was real good. It's always a good event. Shade Tree Commission's next meeting is actually the first Thursday of the month in May, not the second. So if anybody is interested, it will be May 7th at 6:30. And there will be a new member added to our commission, which I believe we're approving the resolution this evening to have a new member on Shade Tree. Finally, we, like Business Administrator Kane mentioned, the Seafood Festival is in 2 weeks, May 15th, 16th, 17th. And the skate park committee will also be having a tent there as well, so stop by, make a donation, learn more about what's happening with the skate park, and we'll be selling t-shirts and stuff also. And that is all I have.
Thank you. Councilman de Blasio.
Mayor, thank you, Mayor. Planning board at our meeting, we discussed the signage was one of the topics, but we're also starting a new committee reviewing awnings. So we have two of our lovely members, Johanna and Linda Sharkus, working on different presentations on how awnings can become more consistent throughout the town and how to possibly change the ordinance to make it work that way. The Harbor Commission next meeting is May 19th, and Councilwoman Donovan covered that. On Saturday, April 18th, FSOS had their third annual Shillelagh Plunge for Autism, and they raised over $100,000 for 5 different charities that are specializing in autism support for autism children. And that is really a huge undertaking. So I really want to congratulate them and thank them for running such an amazing event. And then just to piggyback on the Route 35, we did reach out also to the DOT, file formal complaints about lack of safety, speed signs, and clean up on that Route 35. And I believe, they said they're going to look into it. It's going to be a priority since it's a main road. That's all I have.
Okay, thank you. Councilman Maroney.
All I have is that Volunteer Hook and Ladder, 11th Avenue is going to be having a fundraiser at Boathouse this Sunday. It's a $20 entry fee, gets you a free drink and a free buffet, and we'd love to have everybody there. That's it.
What time is that, Kevin?
What's that?
What time is it?
12 to 5.
Thanks, Kevin.
Have Ronnie there.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, that's kind of important.
Okay, let's move on to our reports of council. On the public session, on the consent agenda number 1.
If anyone,
Oh, we have to
no,
do
just
minutes.
one.
I'm sorry, I jumped ahead.
Can I have a motion to approve the minutes of the April 14th meeting?
Motion.
Second.
Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Maroney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckfusco?
Yes.
Now we'll go back to public session. If anyone would like to speak or make a comment on the resolutions listed on the agenda, please step forward, state your name and address. Just the resolutions.
First part.
All right, can I have a motion to close the public session?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Can I have a motion to approve the resolutions as listed on the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second.
Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Maroney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckfusco?
Yes.
Next we have the 2026 municipal budget hearing. I think Lorraine has a presentation.
Should we move down there or stay here? Yeah, we'll move up there.
Can someone hit the light on the one?
Yeah.
The other side. The light on the one.
We're gonna go down.
Yep.
Oh, there it is.
Okay, our 2026 budget has been challenging, to say the least, to get through this budget season. We are under state review, which adds another layer of bureaucracy to our usual process, which is, as I say, challenging at best. The current, our total municipal budget this year is $26,303,624.28. We have that categorized, broken down into current fund, water, sewer utility, beach utility, and parking utility, and we have listed all of the budgets for each one of those separate funds within our operation. The current fund is generally operations that affect our daily operations. The 26 budget is under the 2.5% appropriations cap, utilizing exceptions, and under the 2% levy cap. The proposed municipal tax rate is 60.9 cents per $100 of assessed valuation. That represents an annual increase of $254.47 on the average assessment of $596,870. And obviously, inflation is still an issue with year-over-year increase of 2.4%. At the time this was prepared, may be different today, I'm not sure. Our budget is based on revenues and expenditures that balance. Our certain categories of expenditure, debt service, public employee retirement, and police and fire retirement systems, and health insurance costs. And by creating HAP exceptions, the state allows temporary increases in appropriations for health insurance and above the 2.5% appropriations cap. However, there is an associated increase in the tax rate to fund these increased appropriations, which is incorporated into the increase that I mentioned. Our current funds, we have a list of categories within which we spend money. Other expenses covers everything other than salary and wages, with the exception of the few others that are listed here on the slide. Revenue, as introduced, the borough proposes to apply $3,530,000 from fund balance or surplus for the 2026 budget. This is a slight increase from last year, but we replaced more than the $293,000, so we're in good financial shape in this particular instance. We are anticipating $428,549 in state aid, which is no different from our figures in 24 and 25. So the state is not helping us in the long run. The current fund provides, the revenue is broken down into various categories. The leader of that obviously is the amount to be raised by taxation, which includes the municipal tax, the municipal amount, and the library tax. And then all of the other revenues flow from that in order to balance our budget. The municipal tax rate, as I said, was proposed to be 60.9 cents per $100 of assessed valuation, which is a 4 cent increase over last year. The average residential assessment is $596,870, and the average municipal tax is $3,651.80. The water sewer utility, obviously, we're not in great shape in our water sewer utility because the revenue is based on the amount of rents that we collect. Our expenses are basically fixed and increase on an annual basis. It also includes treatment for the sewerage through the SMRSA. So we have significant expenses that need to be covered by our revenue, which in this case primarily is water sewer billings. The beach utility is basically, it operates the same way as the water sewer utility. The beach utility and the water sewer utility have to be what they call self-liquidating. That is, the revenue is sufficient to cover all of our expenses. Our beach utility is doing fairly well. We are not in danger of being not self-liquidating for beach utility, and we are covering our expenses. Obviously, the revenue we collect is dependent on the weather. Rainy season, and we collect less, so we're always very conservative in anticipating revenue, trying to manage our expectations so that we are, we're not creating a situation where we're creating a deficit. Again, revenue is is broken down into several categories. Primarily, we use fund balance and beach badge sales. And beach badge sales are considered our rents in the beach utility. We also have a parking utility, which costs us a nominal amount of money to operate, and which we generate a decent amount of revenue from. And so this is the slides up to this point show us where we stand with the introduced budget. However, because we are under state review, we have to amend the budget. So there will be a resolution on tonight's agenda as well to amend the introduced budget. And there will be a public hearing on the amendment at the next meeting. So at this point, council would open the meeting for comments on the municipal budget as introduced. We would close the public hearing. We would council will consider the budget amendment. Then we have scheduled the public hearing on the amendment for May 12th, and then at that point we would, assuming the amendment passes, we would be able to adopt the budget on May 12th.
Okay, now's the opportunity for the council to have comments, questions.
So I asked you this earlier, Lorraine, but if you could just, in layman's terms, tell us the percent increase on the average person with this budget, what the tax increase is going to be percentage-wise.
It's just under 9%. It's 4 cents on the budget. The tax rate last year was 56.4 cents. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
I actually didn't calculate the percentage exactly.
No,
I understand that, but just a general, just so people can get an idea. Sometimes that 4%, I got so much on the dollar, doesn't equate to what people
It's
bring.
about 9%. It's 4 cents on the rate.
So a 9% increase in taxes based on this.
And that's municipal, not only the municipal part of your taxes, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Yes.
And in your opinion, you would say the largest majority of that is based on what?
Say that again.
In your opinion, the largest reason for the increase is based on what exactly?
Oh, primarily
Yes.
the increase in health insurance premiums for employees and retirees. I mean, health insurance premiums in the state health benefits plan increased 20% last year. This year they went up 36%. The borough left the state health benefits plan at the end of 2025 and joined and enrolled in a joint insurance fund for health insurance. Those increases were somewhat less at 22%, but it's still significantly more than what we can absorb in the budget in any given year without raising the rate. I mean, this is it's.
I can remember. So a couple of things. Number one, it's 9.27%, and that's for the municipal tax. If you want the exact number of the increase.
I'm sorry, what'd you say?
9.27%. Okay. And so we're seeing this. I have a lot of clients in the state of Jersey. Every municipality is dealing with this. And you know you have your 2% levy cap. They give you an exception. Lorraine had said that earlier for increases above that, and that's what kind of gets pushed outside of your cap. But it still affects taxes, right? So they understand that they said they were gonna have a cap on the taxes, but the insurance is going through the roof. And the state comes up with rules every year, and they change them every year in terms of what can be inside and outside of the cap. But regardless, it's still an appropriation that has to be covered by revenue. And of course, we know taxes is our largest revenue. So the point being that across the board in New Jersey, people are running out of the state health benefits program, which they've called a death spiral. That's their words, not mine. And so everybody's jumping out into a JIF or to private insurance. And you guys are no different than that. And the increase, even though it's not 36%, it's still 22%. Okay, so that's really, really the main driver of what's going on here.
Now, I know, because you've now entered into what I do, but I know marketplace plans premiums, and this is for per plan, not on the, for a group plan, are going up by that like 20-something%. But in an employer-sponsored plan, you're really seeing only like 6 to 7% increases, which is still too much. So why, is there a reason why our JIF is going up, if we're getting charged a 25% increase that way? Are you familiar, 22%?
Based on the guidance that they've issued, it's the, overuse of GLP medications, which are driving, huge drivers of the cost, believe it or not. That's not the only reason, but it's a very big portion.
Wow.
Wow.
That's gonna be the headline now. Weight loss drugs drive tax increases.
Wow. Well, it's driving health insurance premiums,
Well,
which are driving
yeah.
tax increases.
Okay. Wow. Wasn't expecting
That's,
that.
I guess, nationally, now I have questions about that.
Is that a driver nationally, I assume?
Yes, it is.
Absolutely.
But wow. Okay.
And that's why, as an aside, some insurers these days require you also to have a associated illness, specifically diabetes. And if you don't have a diabetes diagnosis, they won't prescribe the GLP medication for you because there's not a, because of the cosmetic aspect of prescribing these medications.
Now, Lorraine, I know that there is also a big problem with, as we have one generation aging and retiring, those costs are going up too, both retirement costs and healthcare costs. Is that part of our budget too?
Yes. Yes, it is. And, well, that's a conversation for another day, but yes, it is.
Any other comments, questions? I'd like to point out every year when we do this, the total amount of money that we need. The budget is $26,303,624. And we're very fortunate here in Belmar because of that $26 million, only $12,231,846 is raised by the residents, by local taxes. Which means when I figure out the percentage, basically, we're paying, meaning the residents, when we pay our tax bills, our municipal tax, we're paying 46.5% of the budget. Which means the other 53% is being paid by all of the other miscellaneous income that we have, plus the surplus that we kick in. So we're very fortunate in that sense because many towns don't have that much additional revenue. So it's just something to keep in mind. The other thing I'd like to point out, and it has nothing to do with our budget, but it always, when we pay our taxes, we're paying a county tax, and we're paying a school tax, and we're paying a municipal tax. Well, I was going through the budget things, and I don't know how many people realize that the levy amount for the county, for Belmar, is $5,536,767. That's just the county tax that Belmar residents have to give to the county. I don't know what to use that money for, but I think there's going to come a day when people need to start looking at that. The county health tax is $96,000. That went up. And the open space tax went up by $20,000. It's now $835,889. So the total of all county taxes is $6,469,122. And I just point that out because it's a pretty big chunk of our tax bill, and I would love to have maybe somebody from the county come down here and explain what are we getting for that $6,469,122. Because I don't know. I mean, maybe once I retire from this job, I'll start looking into what they're doing with all this money. But that is a large part of our tax bill also. So I just bring that to your attention because on the one hand, we're lucky we have that revenue, and on the other hand, I think if we want to start reducing our tax bill, we need to start looking at what the county is doing with the money that we're giving them. And that's all I have to say at this point. What's the next step?
You would need to have a vote to, open the meeting for public
Yeah,
comments.
we're opening it up to the public on the budget. If you have questions, comments, now's the time to ask. You have the experts here, and once they leave, come on up. Give your name and your address.
Chuck Peters, 202 19th Avenue for 40 years. I was concerned about the water bills. I see that there's a lot of meters that aren't being read. And just in my neighborhood alone, there's a fellow that has a hotel, I guess, considered 2 units, who's just been for the last 9 months paying the minimum, the same as me and my wife. My wife and I use about 6,000 gallons a quarter, maybe a little more, 7,000, but I noticed someone moved into the house next to me, and they've been there a month and a half, and they use 10 gallons. He has 10 gallons is on his reading, so he qualifies for the minimum. There was a house built across the street from me that's been there 6 years, and the last 4 years, he was getting a minimum of 89 or whatever it was. Now he's getting a regular bill, I guess it's in reading, and he's paying $400 or $500. So my concern is, why are these meters malfunctioning, or nobody's auditing it? I'll do all the queries in the world if I had the information, and I could give you a list of people that are paying nothing.
Well, we would have to look into that.
You have
And
to
this
look.
is actually also, but I'm allowing you to finish. This is actually the hearing on the budget,
Oh, okay.
not necessarily the water. But since you're there, we understand your message. If you can let us know, the address or
No, I don't,
addresses.
I'm not here to squeal on anything, but that's up to the town to run these queries. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I had mentioned it
And I
to
think
April,
we do.
and I had mentioned it to Westerfield. Was that her name? Lucy?
Kelly.
Kelly.
So if the town is consistently giving quarterly estimated bills, that means the meter is either not connected properly or the meter reader itself is damaged.
Right.
So at that time would be when we send a notice to that resident saying, we're not reading your meter, we need to get into your home, or we need to access your property. Lily, correct me if I'm wrong, but I know I've been through this process before. So that is the process that we go through. So it's a matter of the meter readers coming back saying we're estimated for 3 or 4 months in a row, 4 months in a row. Then the notice would go out that we have to get in, we need permission to go in, or, I don't know the jurisdiction to, go, someone could ignore us completely and consider, and eventually they're gonna get hit with a couple $1,000 bill, because the meter's still running, even if it's not being read. But you're right, we should be trying to get as many read as possible.
That's all I'm saying. Try to.
There is a process that we go through, is what I'm saying, and maybe there's a couple of addresses we have to look into.
Any other comments? comments or questions about the budget?
Jim Kramer, Fourth Avenue. I just have a quick question, and this is more on the revenue side of money coming in. With all these redevelopment projects, not all of them, I think that one of them there, they're not going to go with a payment in lieu of taxes. But are we, with the projects that have been entered into a pilot agreement, are we receiving that money? I mean, this is one of the advantages of a pilot is you don't have to wait for a certificate of occupancy. Are we receiving that money, and is it significant?
Yes, we have been receiving the money based on the pilot agreements. There is currently litigation on a couple of the projects, but for the most part, we are collecting what we're supposed to be collecting from the pilot agreements.
Is it substantive? In other words,
We do anticipate that as a revenue in our budget, and that is a category of revenue that we include.
Yeah, I'm speaking just personally. Going through that trouble and granting or entering into these agreements, do the rest of us benefit from that? Or was it just something that enticed the developer to develop?
Well, there is a benefit to the borough from collecting that revenue. That revenue goes solely to, well, it used to go solely to the municipality. We owe 5% of what we collect to the county. And I know they are considering the further legislation that would make a portion of those funds that we collect payable to the school. But yes, in general, the residents do benefit from the fact that we have pilot agreements.
Okay, thank you very much. I hadn't looked at this in a number of years, but I believe the assessed value of Belmar is somewhere in the $5 billion range. In other words, what's the assessed value for the rest of us that aren't involved in?
It's $1.8 billion.
1.8?
$1.8 billion.
Okay, I knew it was a big number, and the largest percentage of that is residential.
Yes.
In other words,
Yes, not all of it.
you would think that the commercial district would be paying high taxes, but they're not. The residential districts are really what carries this town.
Well, because we can't have we have to tax everyone equally. We can't create a tiered property tax system. It's not permitted. It's not something that we could enable. So we can't have commercial properties paying more. They would pay more based on their assessments, which would be based on the commercial activity that occurs. But the rate is the same for everyone.
Yeah, I understand that. But when they do commercial properties, it's not local. In other words, a commercial property can use a comparable from Wall Township or Neptune. Whereas here in Belmar, when you talk about residential, your comparable has to be in the neighborhood. I'm just bringing that up as we all talk about doing things toward raising business and so on, but the businesses aren't really paying that much. That's all.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Okay.
Great, can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we have resolution 2026-90, a resolution authorizing amendment to the 2026 municipal budget. Do we have a motion to adopt the resolution?
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Did you want to say something?
Do you need a roll call?
Yeah, I thought you wanted to say something.
Do we need to vote on this at this point?
Yeah, you're introducing the, you're introducing.
Yeah, it's on.
You're introducing the amendment right now, and as Lorraine explained earlier, you'll introduce the amendment, and then the amendment will be advertised, and then you'll have a public hearing just on the amendment. We've had the public hearing on the budget as introduced. At the next meeting, you'll have a hearing just on the amendment. And again, the amendment, as Lorraine pointed out earlier, you're in state review. Once every 3 years, the state has to look at your budget and approve it. And it's been very onerous this year. They've changed some people down there, and they're asking for everything, which is fine. And we're making these subtle adjustments in the budget that they're requiring. And so that's what the amendment basically consists of. The taxes do not change as a result of the amendment. That's important to note. So tonight, you guys are going to introduce the amendment, okay? And then you're stopped for tonight. You're not going to adopt the budget. And there'll be an advertisement. Then the next meeting, you'll have a hearing on the amendment, and then adopt the budget as amended if you proceed forward with this.
Councilman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Maroney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckfusco?
Yes.
All right, so
Just
next
to
we,
reiterate, I'm sorry,
go ahead.
just to reiterate that the public hearing on the amendment will be held on May 12th.
All right, next we have ordinance 2026-6. This is an ordinance amending Chapter 40 Development Regulations, specifically Section 7.24 signs. Does someone want to make a motion to table this ordinance?
I'll make the motion.
Second?
Okay. Councilman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilman McKinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Maroney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckfusco?
Yes.
Next, we have second reading and public hearing, ordinance 2026-7, an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 29, Water Sewer Utility Department, and specifically Section 7.1, Water Sewer Rates. This is open for public hearing. If anyone would like to comment on the ordinance, please step forward, state your name and address.
Hello, everybody. Hi, my name is Ann Peters. I'm at 202 19th Avenue. This is my first time ever coming to a meeting, and I want to say thank you. It was very interesting, and I'd love to go to your Thanksgiving party then. How's that? Okay, my question I have, this is in regards to the water situation. Caitlin Donovan, I take notes, so don't mind me. Caitlin Donovan just mentioned the long-term benefit of Belmar residents. You made a comment. So my take is, the benefit should be to the town doing their homework prior to a rate increase. As my husband Charles Peters just mentioned, it did not take him a long time. Go on the computer, do a little homework, blah, 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 and guess what? We found out so many neighbors are paying way less in water charges than other neighbors. And I'm saying to myself, well, how can the town just go and do an increase without doing your homework? We should be going out, doing an audit, getting out there, reviewing the meters. If the meters are broke, guess what? Get them fixed. They don't want you in their house, turn off the water. Give them a 30-day notice. Play hardball. Save the residents money by doing your homework and getting everyone to have their invoice billed correctly, have the proper equipment, and have everything working. Because guess what? If you do that, you take the time. I think someone mentioned something to do with the capital plan. Did you mention the capital plan? Maybe if we did our homework and got the right billing, maybe everybody here, if you're a resident of Belmar, maybe your water bills would be lower. And the proper houses that need to have their increases would contribute to the capital plan. That way, the money is flowing in, and maybe we can justify a 2.5% increase. We all know increases with inflation, it happens. So it's my suggestion, you just do your homework first before you just say a large increase. I don't know if anybody else agrees, but I think that's the key. You have any comments?
This is a public comment section.
But do you have any questions for me?
No.
Okay. All right, just wondering. I do have a question in regards to the budget. I don't, your name, I'm sorry?
That actually, we'll allow it, but the time to make it was when we were talking about the budget.
Oh.
But you can go ahead, but we just don't have the benefit of
Okay,
the order.
this is just a quick question. I know some towns have this, and I don't know if Belmar participates in this. If you're an employee within Belmar, and your spouse is employed with Belmar, do you get paid extra if you decline the benefits, the health insurance benefits, because your spouse takes it? Because there's many towns that do that.
There is a stipend offered to an employee who declines health coverage. However, they are not eligible for the stipend if their spouse also works for the state or is covered by the same health benefits plan. So it won't, you're not double dipping in other words.
No, the only reason why I know that I have a family member who declined the benefits because she was already getting it for the state and didn't need it, and she actually got, it was like a bonus money every month. And I was like, wow. And I realized that local towns also participate in that. I was not sure if Belmar did that.
Well, there's a benefit to the borough to offering that for the employee who chooses to decline health benefits plans, because a health benefit plan, even for a single coverage employee is somewhere around $12,000. The stipend is limited to less than $5,000 or 50% of what we save in the long run. So it turns out to be a savings to the borough.
Okay, just a question. I didn't know if we participated in it. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other comments?
Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2026-7?
No, hold on.
Oh, the amendment,
This is
sorry.
where I'd like to offer, vote for the amendment to eliminate the automatic 2.5% increase.
I'd like to second.
Okay.
We need a vote.
Yep, Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman McKinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Maroney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckfusco?
Yes.
Now you have to vote on the
Got
amended.
Can I have a motion to adopt the ordinance as amended?
Motion.
Second.
Okay, Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman McKinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Maroney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckfusco?
Yes.
Last ordinance is second reading and public hearing on ordinance 2026-8. This is an ordinance amending and supplementing Chapter 3, Department of Administration, specifically Section 3-6, Tourist Development Commission. This is open for public hearing. If anyone would like to speak on the ordinance, please step forward. No? Okay. Can I have a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And can I have a motion to adopt ordinance 2026-8?
Motion.
Second.
Okay. Councilman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman McKinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Maroney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckfusco?
Yes.
Okay, now we're on to the regular public session. If anyone has a comment, please step forward, state your name and address.
Hey, my name's John Judge. I live 508 11th Avenue, at Parkinson's side, not at Parkinson's side, don't talk about. My neighbor keeps a landscape business, a spring garden. And it's supposed to be, it's supposed to be allowed to. I went to the town, they said it's fine. It's an R75. I don't understand.
When you say he keeps it out of his front yard, like all equipment overnight?
Yeah. Let's see pictures.
Sure.
Please help me. Parkinson's.
Sorry about that.
So am I.
Thank you for coming out.
But if I called you on the phone, you think I was drunk.
I'm sorry, could you just repeat your concern because his equipment is,
He runs his business out of his house.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
starts his lawnmower for any hour every day of the week. And I have tenants in my front house, and he's just a nosy neighbor. His name is Manny. I'm sure you've heard of him.
Interesting. Put you on the next one.
I have it at the All right, let's see.
That's it.
That's it, yeah, I know.
It's terrible.
This is an iPad.
But it's a computer.
What are you doing?
I don't know where I'm at.
Just scroll.
Sorry.
I
Oh, sorry, that's over here.
April, have we had any,
Let me
you know,
fix
code
this.
has any complaints or anything, have had any on that?
I believe he spoke to Bob Hoff in code enforcement about it, and if my understanding is that Bob explained to him that home businesses
I gotta go to
are
photos.
permitted, but if it's a noise violation, then they should notify the police department.
Okay. Is it
The
the
noise, that's the issue, or the equipment, or both?
That's that yard.
Well, here, this machine isn't even there, John. I don't know what pictures you took.
Pictures all over.
Like along, this is my house.
That's his yard.
Along
He's a
that.
landscaper, that's not my stuff, but it looks like it's part of my yard. One, there's all garbage everywhere. It's like a junkyard next to it. I went to the town, and the guys said, oh, he can do that, he can do whatever he wants.
Yeah, and that's.
I've been there 28 years because nobody knows me, because I don't bother
That's my
nobody.
house. That's that.
Ms. Claudio had commented that they did review, code enforcement did review it, and you are allowed to run a business out of your home. However, there are noise ordinances that we have to follow also, and also commercial vehicle parking ordinances we have to follow.
How you, I know, you know, run an office out of your house, right?
No, I don't know.
Commercial vehicles?
Not me, no.
No, can
I'm not
I,
sure.
can
Can he,
he, can commercial vehicles?
commercial parking in his driveway, there's a.
He's on his driveway, parks in front of the house, and he yells at me if I park in front of his house. That's his house. He tells everybody he comes to my house, he parks.
parking on the street is for the public?
He's a bully. My wife, I've been going through this for 20 years. My wife's kept me apart, but the other day, there were 2 people. I said, that's it, I'm done. I've been up with this for 25 years, 26 years. Same bullshit. I'm sorry, I apologize. But this is the side of, that's the side of his house.
Can we get code to look at it again?
I came and saw him yesterday. I came the other day, and I saw the guy pop. He goes, he's going over the house after, so I went to the driveways. He never came by. And he gets a green can right in the thing. They pick up all his garbage from this landscaping business. He gets 3 or 4 of them out every day. I've been this for years. I go to the town. I tell you to go to the town. I say, don't worry about it. I've been paying taxes like $200,000 in taxes in the last 5 years. It's ridiculous. Nobody knows me in town because I don't bother nobody. And I ran a business out of my house for 25 years and bothered nobody. Same, I had a trucking business, but I paid my truck somewhere else, not in front of my house. That's what you're supposed to do.
Well, that's something that, the council.
Well, the pop guy blew me off. I was waiting for him, he never came by. Never
We'll
came,
have to have a
never
discussion.
never acknowledged me at all, like, nobody.
You're not nobody.
I know that.
Oh, I thought that's what you
Oh,
said.
no, my wife, no, I've been doing this for 25 years, my wife did, the right to do it.
Yeah.
Our council is gonna step in also, sir.
Yeah, we'll have,
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
What was the address again?
50811,
You're at 508.
I'm at 510.
You're at 508.
Right there, you know right there now,
John.
Got it.
there's a truck right next to, there's a truck full of equipment right now in front of the house.
You're 508, Manny's
Go
510.
to the house.
I don't think, just to,
I think, I don't think our parking ordinance has any restrictions on commercial vehicles.
I think there's some
Or
number of
streets.
axles, wasn't there?
Just the side streets.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, it could be something that the council.
I believe it's overnight on the side streets, because I was not happy when I saw it come into play, no offense. But I think it's overnight on the side streets,
Do
and
you
in the
live in
main
the
streets.
back of the house and this person lives in the front of the house? Is that?
No, I live in the back house, I own two houses,
Right.
And my tenant's in the front house. I live in the back house.
Tenants in the front house, you're in the back house?
Yeah,
Okay, gotcha.
but I mean, I still own no property.
Yeah, no, I
Yeah, I
understand. I'm
understand.
just trying to get an understanding of what.
I'm frustrated for 25 years, I'm tired of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
25 years, thank you.
We got one here. Come on up, Drew.
Dan Lang, 14th Avenue.
You're good, Dan.
It's on. That's good.
Okay, didn't know. Again, along the same line of commercial trucks on the park on the street overnight. We have a lot on our block. It's a very narrow street. And they park there all the time. Hardly get through the streets. A lot of people come zipping around the corner, and there's gonna be somebody's gonna get hit. So I don't know what the borough ordinance is. Is there anybody following up on it to make sure that they're either parked appropriately, not supposed to park on their street, or what? Because it's dangerous right on that corner, because they come zipping around 14th Avenue.
Well, as I said, we need to review the ordinance to see exactly what is prohibited and what isn't. And we can only enforce what the ordinance says at that point. And then we have to change the ordinance if we
Like to
wanted
see
to.
what the ordinance says.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
I think Mr. Kramer was next.
Somebody else want to go?
No, that's all right.
No? Okay. Eugene Creamer, 4th Avenue. By the way, I see two proclamations tonight. Of course, April got the big one for municipal clerk, but she's also the administrator for the construction code department right here in town. So the second proclamation about building safety is, she actually gets both of those.
Congratulations.
Actually, I have a question about the construction that's taken place down at Ocean and 16th Avenue down there. And I went there yesterday, and I think I was last week I had stopped by there also. Has a construction permit been issued for that construction that's currently going on?
Sorry, what was the,
Is there a construction permit issued for the 16th Avenue?
The bathroom, yes.
Well, isn't there supposed to be a placard posted at where the construction is taking place?
No, they're not required to post it anymore.
Until a certificate has been issued, I believe. In other words, I'm just a member of the public, and I go down there, I take a look at the site, and there's no placard there that a construction permit has been issued.
They're not required.
They're not required to do that anymore. And we know we have the clerk of the year telling us that. They changed the regulation, obviously, to not require that.
This form is no longer required?
No.
Gee, this is kind of interesting because here we are having to issue a proclamation at a public meeting recognizing the good work that the building inspectors do. However, would the public be much better informed when they see construction going on in their neighborhood that actually the town is inspecting the work?
We use the SDL portal where you can look up by address what permits have been issued. Of course, you can call or file an open report. And any construction that requires a permit needs to be permitted. And you can make a report even through the SDL portal. Now we opened up it's called a complaint portal, that you can notify us via the SDL portal that there's construction going on without permit.
And that's the public has access to any property in town?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Tyler Zatello, 14th Avenue, Belmar. First, congratulations to April. She's one heck of an employee here, really gets a lot of things done. And I want to congratulate her on all those accomplishments that she's been doing since she's been working for the borough.
Thank you.
Thank you to Mayor and the Borough of Belmar for allowing the Belmar Cares Group to use the Taylor Pavilion for our event 2 weeks ago. It was one of the best fundraisers we ever had. We had an awesome turnout, most amount of people that were there. The band that played are professional entertainers, and one of the entertainers in that group performs in Vegas and postponed one of his gigs just to do this fundraiser for us.
You did a wonderful job. Congratulations to you.
Thank you.
And thank you for everything you do.
A lot of work. It was a lot of work, a lot of hours, and the next day I was so tired I couldn't even relax. Just a question, reference, it's kind of a two-in-one question. Skate park and the girls' baseball field on 13th on the southeast corner. Which one are we supposed to get this skate park done, or are we supposed to work on this ball field for donations? It seems like we're bouncing back and forth. I want to see that skate park get done. It's been going on for how many years?
Two separate fundraisers, two separate projects. Yeah, the skate park we're in kind of a regrouping kind of phase to see if we can like scale it down to either be something smaller or something we can phase out in several different phases as opposed to one big grand gigantic park. So we're kind of figuring things out with that now. The softball fields are, I believe, moving forward with grant funding and.
Yeah, and those are, I don't think those are in competition at all. They're actually two fairly different audiences, as we've found.
No, I'm not saying competition, I'm just saying which one are we gonna, we started with the skate park, let's just get that done.
I agree.
Let's just get that done.
It's
not up to me.
Wait, I'm confused. In what sense do you mean? What do you, am I missing something?
See the skate park.
Oh, but you mean, never mind. Thank you.
It's, they're.
We're all plowing straight ahead somehow.
I mean, I'd like to see them both done, but I'd like to see, since the skate park was started so long ago, I'd like to see that get done.
It's also dramatically different amounts that we're fundraising for. Mine is a much, much smaller project.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yes. So, I mean, I don't think there's any reason to put them up against each other any more than any other two projects in the borough.
Okay, I'd just like to see one of them get done.
Oh, I think you will.
I think we'd like to see both. So. Thank you.
And you will.
Yes.
Any other comments?
Claire Hanger, 18th April, congratulations.
Thank you.
A phrase that I've heard several times is, you're the glue that holds Belmar together. So, thank you. I hate to go back to flutter flags. It's such a good topic. But I attended that planning meeting, okay? And Councilman Plaza, if you remember, we did say that we went with per race for the signs, and then we switched to per candidate. All correctly, because she came up and so it's per candidate. Okay, one sign per candidate, and two on a corner. We went from lot to race, which you had suggested, to candidate on that. You agree with me?
I had to go through the minutes. I thought we went back to race.
No, we went back to candidate. You were happy, you were very happy.
I think they mean the same thing ultimately because it's candidate running per race.
Yeah.
So there were, I think it's.
We talked about that. I'm not. All right, whatever.
Per candidate.
The formal, just so you know, the formal letter from our planning board attorney was or is going to be sent for the amendments. So if I misspoke on the race or candidate, what our attorney took the notes of what the planning board suggested is going to get here and then it's going to get back to us. Okay. That's how we voted to push it aside. and take the planning board suggestion. So if I had one word wrong, it's going to be correct with the legal terms,
Okay.
including the flutter flags or whatever else we discussed, the final wording of that.
All right, flutter flags are mentioned in 3 different spots. One saying that they are permitted, and then we have them in section 4 under temporary signs, 4D, which falls into the category of the Friday, Saturday, Sunday, only, for special events. But go down 2 lines, and you have a complete definition of flutter flags, which is why the whole thing started, that they're not gonna be torn and this and that, and they have to be removed at night. So, in my own opinion, I think from section 4D, the word flutter flag should be removed, because you're talking about 2 different, flutter flags in 2 different areas. That's the same thing. So just FYI. Maybe I'll go to the next planning board meeting too. And another question I had is, how are we doing with the non-handicap or ADA compliant curbs on Mr. Creamer's corner? Have they been corrected?
No.
Drainage.
Oh, by the way, before we get off on that, Fifth Avenue is now completely paved.
Oh.
It's done. The only thing, all the way to Main Street to C Street. The only thing left to do that I see is they have to paint lines so the crosswalk stops and all that kind of stuff. Great to have a touch football game. Anybody wants to.
All my skateboarding friends, Fifth Avenue now open.
Council President here is gonna teach me to skateboard.
Mr. Kane's gonna let you know what.
There's issues with the height of the road and the curb settings. And there's some drainage issues, so if they were to change those curbs, there'd be puddles because it has to be re-engineered a little bit. So it wasn't a quick fix like we had anticipated, so it's gonna be looked at in the future. The next road project, we're gonna take a harder look at that. So it's not gonna be done with the Fifth Avenue project, but it will be done with a future project.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions, comments?
Layla Marks, 605 Ocean. I did come to the planning board meeting specifically because of the political signs. And I did make the comment about per candidate because we do have vote for 2 races. You guys run vote for 2. But I also did some more research to kind of try to look at state law and federal law, constitutional law. And I really think that you need to take a look at that political sign as a temporary sign. Maybe some of you remember, probably all of you were here in Monmouth County 10 years ago. There was a controversy in West Long Branch over a flag. Under federal law, under the Constitution, a flag is a sign. I'm not a lawyer, but as far as I understand it, that's the case. They put a limitation in West Long Branch saying that you could only have the sign up, I think in their case it was 30 days. You're saying 45 days. They challenged, the ACLU actually represented this guy and challenged it, and a judge threw the ticket out and they repealed their ordinance based on that. So this is like a temporal thing, right? Time that you can have. I appreciate where you guys are coming from about the signs, but I also think that we're in an environment right now where we shouldn't be limiting political speech that's civil. And putting a sign in your yard, putting a sign in your window. I live in a condo. I face the dumpster. Nobody's gonna see a sign if I put it out, but I appreciate that other people do put signs out because it's a physical representation in our community of people's support for something. And I appreciate that people have a right to not put up signs. Maybe you don't see a lot for certain candidates. But I think that based on that, and also based on, there was a Supreme Court decision, 2015. It was out in Arizona, but again, I'm not a constitutional scholar, but my reading and understanding from just reading some legal stuff, legal journal, is that when you make certain types of determinations about how you're gonna treat different signs, that if it's gonna be content-based, which if it's a political sign for a candidate, it's based on the content of the sign that you're trying to regulate it. Based on regulating it like that, it has to go under strict scrutiny. And I think that the way that you wrote the ordinance, and maybe the way that you're gonna rewrite it, is not gonna be something you can enforce, and I just caution you, don't pass ordinances with pieces that you can't enforce. Even if we're not gonna deal with it now, maybe years from now, somebody else is gonna have to deal with it. It's gonna cost the town money, and frankly, nobody wants to be associated with, violating constitutional rights. None of you represent that, from what I know of you, from what I've observed. And so, on one hand, like I came to the planning board last week, and I even said, hey, I appreciate it. In other parts of the state, sometimes you see signs that are up for months and months and months. But again, we're talking about private property. And just one last thing about that, if you were to adopt the language that you have, by restricting it to one sign per lot, you're putting people like these people that were here that have a tenant, you're putting them in a bad situation, because unless they put that in their lease with their tenant, then there's going to be some kind of conflict. If both of them wanted to put up a sign, say they support different candidates, they both want to put a sign. Again, I mean, maybe this kind of stuff doesn't come up most of the time, but I think that it's something you really need to think about, and it's something eventually New Jersey is going to have to think about, because we have a whole town that's a land lease town in Ocean Grove, and if the landlord is the person who can make determinations and put it in the lease to restrict your political speech, then it's just creating more, I guess it's hypothetical, but it's creating more animosity on political speech that, it's just my opinion, but I don't think that that's the kind of thing that we want to do. So that's as much as I have to say about the sign, which is a lot. I apologize, but it was eye-opening to me to read some of the legal stuff on it.
That's why we rely on that gentleman right here
Right.
to tell us what we can and
I'm
can't
not
do.
gonna debate the Constitution tonight, but I will take a look at it. If there are any issues, I'll talk to Doug Kovats, who's the planning board attorney, and we'll make sure that our ordinance is constitutionally sound.
Okay, great. Just one other thing, a positive thing. I was here for the last council meeting. You guys did a resolution to honor George. Everybody in town knows George. Everybody appreciates what he does. I don't know if any of you know about this, but I mentioned to somebody during the break earlier. There's actually a patriotism award that the county is giving out. Did anybody nominate George for that? He would be such a great candidate for that.
I don't know that we were aware.
So I pulled it up because I happened to see it. There are 3 categories, but I think that he certainly is a first responder. There's the actual title of it is Patriotic American Hero Award. And the deadline is May 1st, so it's kind of a late date, but if somebody's interested in nominating him, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, he's such a great candidate, and even if he didn't win, he should be recognized as a nominee. So,
Done.
Thank you.
for pointing that out.
Yeah, thank you.
I love the idea of giving George an American.
We're making an exception tonight.
Thank you.
Since there's no big crowd here, and none of us want to go home.
Dayline, 14th Avenue. One question, who do I talk to about the borough ordinance regarding commercial trucks on the street? Who would I talk to? Who would I ask to find out about that?
Well,
It depends on what it is you're asking. What
Just
is it
to
you
find
want?
out what the borough ordinance is regarding commercial trucks parked
I mean,
in a residential.
April can send you a copy.
You can look it up on the E-Code 360 website and type in commercial trucks or parking, you'll see ordinances like that.
I'll ask you after the meeting.
And then, yeah, no problem.
All right, thank you.
I can guide you to the right site.
Okay.
I think we did a whole workshop on that at one point.
We definitely did.
We did. I thought there was like an actual thing, like how many
Parking too.
was changed.
Last year or year before.
The number of days cars were parked on the street too, we did a whole thing on that.
Fantastic.
I would have to look it up to read it and see exactly what it says.
We're all on it.
Any other comments? Sure.
Real quick, Barry, number
5 minutes.
15. Not even 15th Avenue. It's nice to be, I think, 2 days now, maybe even 3, to sit in my backyard and listen to the pound, pound, pound. Finally, they're working again.
It should be over very soon, the pound.
Good.
By the end of this week. We're hoping.
Yeah.
May I have a motion to close the public session?
I'll make a motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
You guys are gonna be here when we get back?
Lucky you guys
Wait.
get to go.
Our last item is Resolution 2026-91, a resolution of the council permitting to go into an executive session. Whereas it has been determined by the council that it is necessary to discuss the following specific matter at its regular meeting in the absence of the public, pending litigation and contract negotiations. And whereas the Open Public Meetings Act permits the Borough Council to exclude the public from that portion of a public meeting during which such matters are discussed. Now therefore be it resolved by the council as follows, that the council shall recess into a private executive session from which the public shall be excluded, that the scope of the aforesaid executive session shall be limited to the matter as stated, that those matters discussed in executive session shall remain confidential until such time as the need for confidentiality no longer exists as determined by the borough attorney, and that minutes of the closed session shall be taken and kept free from public review until such time that the need for confidentiality no longer exists, and that the regular meeting of the council shall resume after the private executive session, at which time the borough council may take action in reference to the topic discussed. Do we have a motion to offer the resolution?
Motion.
Second.
Councilwoman Donovan?
Yes.
Councilwoman Kinney?
Yes.
Councilman de Blasio?
Yes.
Councilman Maroney?
Yes.
Mayor Buckafusco?
Yes.
Yeah.
I wanna say no.
That's what I'm saying. I'm gonna say no and see what happens. For fun. Some people just wanna see the world burn. All right.
back on. We need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Say aye.
It's not real money today.
Aye, aye.
It's like-
I know.
That's kind of.